name is Stacy Getz, and I'm a managing partner with the Taproot Agency. It has been my pleasure to work with North American Properties, local government, and the Cascades Historical User Group over the last 5 years to bring this Cascades Historical Plaza to life. We're so glad you're here today to be part of this event and to be the first to see these new exhibits that tell the stories of our architectural, social, and civil rights history. In just a few minutes, you will hear from our mayor, John Daly, from Sean Mcintyre with North American Properties, from Dr. Jennifer Coswell, professor of history at FSU and member of our historical user group, as well as City Commissioner and Mayor Pro Tem Curtis Richardson. But first, I would like to welcome all city and county leaders who are here with us today, including County Commissioner Kristen Dozier, County Commissioner Carolyn Cummings, former County Commissioner Marianne Lindley, and City Manager Reese Goad. Are there other elected leaders or city and county officials that are in attendance that I missed? If so, please recognize yourself. Say hello. All right. Well, we are pleased to have Mayor John Daly joining us this morning. Mayor Daly has dedicated the last 16 years to public service. He served 3 terms on the Leon County Commission and was elected mayor in 2018. Please help me welcome Mayor John Daly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. That was a wonderful introduction. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a nice day. It's nice and cool today. We don't have to deal with the usual August heat. My name is John Daly. I am the proud mayor of the great city of Tallahassee. And it's days like today that I'm reminded of a quote that is often attributed to cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead, when she wrote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful and committed citizens can change the world. And indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." So, ladies and gentlemen, today is about a group of people in Tallahassee who have truly helped change our corner of the world. It includes those who stood up for civil rights on this land and the public servants at the turn of the 19th century who delivered our early municipal services inside architecturally significant buildings. I want to honor those who helped build this area as a community gathering place over the last decade, including Sean Mcintyre. Sean, welcome back to Tallahassee. I know that we'll be hearing from you in a second as well, but you are a true and always will be a citizen of Tallahassee for the impact, the positive impact that you have had on this part of our world. Thank you so much. In particular, Sean and his team engaged a small group of citizens to tell our history in this plaza as part of the Cascades development. Now, I want to commend the Cascades Historical User Group members, including those that are here with us today and those that are here with us in spirit. You gave of your time and talents over the last 5 years to help ensure our history, our stories, and make sure that it all lives on. And you ensured that the voices of people in our community were heard and that the stories have been shared as well. As mayor, I can tell you that you are the model type of engagement that we take great pride in here in Tallahassee. To you and the team at NAP, the hundreds of local businesses and workers who built this plaza in development, and the talented team at the FSU Master Craftsman Studio. Where are they? Where's the Master Craftsman Studio? Y'all rock. Folks, on a side note, I'm going off script. I had the opportunity about a month ago to go down and tour the Master Craftsman Studio. If you have not been down to the Master Craftsman Studio, please go. They are doing absolutely amazing work, including the work that we are going to see here today. In closing, I want to congratulate on a job well done in creating this historical marker. And just like you, I cannot wait for the unveiling to see it with my own eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out today. And it's a day of celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Daly. It is now my pleasure to introduce Sean Mcintyre, Managing Partner for North American Properties. When I first met Sean in 2016, I could tell he was a different kind of developer. Sean is a person of integrity and a man of his word. He does what he says he will do. Even after selling this property back in the spring, he remained personally committed to Tallahassee and to the volunteers who had already invested so much time in envisioning the historical exhibits that we are revealing today. Sean is kind. He cares about the people he works with as people, and he has become a loyal friend to many of us here today. He is an intense and steadfast leader. The Cascades project on the whole presented some seemingly insurmountable hurdles along the way and a range of diverging interests. But he continuously challenged and encouraged his team to press on, keeping the lines of communication open and finding ways to work through every obstacle together with the community and with our government partners. And we're able to celebrate here today because of that. Please welcome my friend, Sean Mcintyre.
All right.
Morning. Thank you, Stacy. Wow. So this has been quite a challenge. As everybody knows, we also built a lot of College Town. So in 2011 was when I first came to town and started working here and saw the opportunity and the great weather and wind we have. And so, but anyway, Stacy will kill me. I'm going off script already. So anyways, since the early beginning of Tallahassee 200 years ago, this area really, from the old waterworks to the electric power station that's now the Edison, to the first school, to the WPA, which we completely rehabbed and remodeled into a very nice building there to set the tone for the development. Take the time, of course this is behind us, but also if you take the time to look at the Four Corners Monument there, I like to coin things and give things nicknames, so we started calling this the Four Corners of History, and it's really stuck. I want to make special mention of a couple people here today that have been with us from the very beginning of Stadium Center and then through this Cascades development. We had a great city council, still do, working hard in for the development community, bringing economic development dollars to town. If this project had been built in the suburbs under the current land development code, it would take 122 acres. This is on 5 acres. So kind of gives you the sense of scale on how urban renewal really is important. The CRA, Mary Ann Lindley was here, Kristen was on it. When the CRA voted for Stadium Center and then for Cascades, it really shows how an investment in the future is important. This will be here forever. This is not built out of lumber. This is built out of concrete and steel. All of y'all saw it being built. Our local government, starting with Reese and Wayne and Karen, worked very hard through all the challenges that this development brought to us. You know, no one sees a transformer or a backflow preventer from this stage, and that took a lot of work. Our local partners have meant a lot. DAG Architects, Jenna Winger's right here. She grew up in Tallahassee. This was a personal project for her. She did an amazing job as the project architect. There are other members from the DAG team here, and they believe in this development so much they moved their office here. So they are down right around the corner. Doug Realstone from Nelson Mullins, formerly Broad and Cassell. Doug and his wife Jean live here in Cascades. Doug has been with me for most of my career, over 30 years now. And he's the one that kind of snatches me back by the collar when I go a little too far out of bounds. And that's what your attorney's for, right? Mark Llewellyn with Genesis Half Engineering. They were the engineer of record on Gaines Street, and when we came to town to build Stadium Center, Mark and his team have really helped us through the whole thing. Stacy, of course, who introduced me. The Taproot team has done an amazing job here. And then the Marriott team is here, but Bobby Finfarb, who is the owner of the company here, he and I met on a Friday morning, shook hands by lunch, and for 5 years have worked together to bring what we promised the city, Marriott Hotel. Of course, the talented artists at Master Craftsman and Mark Dixon have done a lot of work for me in town. You'll see this beautiful memorial. It is going to last. But finally, and probably most important for today, is the historical user group that some of our members in the audience today. Some people ask me what we're most proud about at Cascades, and I could say the buildings or the impact we made or a 46-foot retaining wall, but what I'm really most proud of is that this group came together. We made a promise to the city at the very beginning that if you'll allow us to remove the jail, we will honor the civil rights history, and we've done that. So probably the most thing I'm proud about is that this group came together, stuck together for quite a long time, and then today is the unveiling of their efforts. This is not developer directed. I gave them a blank slate. Feels like I might have given them a blank check, but it went pretty well. But it went very well. As we talk about the history of the site, it's really important to realize that this park is here because the city issued an RFP 6 years ago. And the reason they issued an RFP was because, I don't know, 20 years ago, this site was fenced and it was hazardous waste site. So look what the city did, and the county and Blueprint and everybody. They created the park. As a developer, we can't create parks. What we can do is we can enhance and build around them. So I always have said this, and it's my mantra in my career, is that private investment follows public investment. And when the public makes the investment, then the balance of this comes to fruition. So the goal was to establish around the park an 18-hour vibrant community, and we're well on our way to doing that. A lot of people in Tallahassee said that we'd never get this done. Here it is. That Tallahassee had a no-growth attitude. They didn't when I'm in City Hall. It's a two-way street, though. You have to sit at a table and negotiate. We're not going to get everything. They're saying is that if not everybody's happy, then it was a good deal. So you have to really sit down and negotiate. We joke, but this intersection was cluttered with essential things like signal cabinets and backflow preventers and fire hydrants. That's not what a city makes. A city is this type of warm, inviting environment that brings you right through to the amphitheater. I really wanted to talk about listening to Miss Barnes and to listening to Reverend Steele. Before we tore the jail down, we walked the jail. And Reverend Steele showed me that's the floor that I slept on. That's pretty impactful. And so today, he's with us to see this be unveiled. And really, when the jail was still here, we could see the jail, but we didn't know the stories. And people would just drive by it and didn't know what was going on. But now you can see the stories. You'll be able to see the stories today. Very diverse group, including Gerald Ensley, who's not with us anymore, but his wife and his daughter are here. But everybody came together here. Very diverse group. We have scholars from FAMU and FSU, people involved in the community, et cetera. And I think that that group coming together today proves what a community can really do. We mentioned the Four Corners Monument. As we unveil this to honor the community members who've led the way and fight for civil rights in the 60s, I think it's important for everyone to understand that this type of history is important. The polarization of our company is something that I'm not happy with. And I think that something like this is an important story to tell. We sold this property in the spring to Mohammed Bekovic, who is back here. It's my job in my company to build things and recycle the capital. We were in Tallahassee for almost 11 years and spent about $500 million or $500 million. We employed over 600 people here for almost 2 years straight. And so the economic impact was felt. I think the chamber will tell you that, Sue will tell you, the dollar turns about 2.6, 2.7 times. So our impact in this town has been pretty significant. I think that it's a lesson for all that the public and the private partnerships do work. But you have to have willing players on both sides. So it's also now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jennifer Coswell, who is where? There she is. She's going to come up and talk a little bit about the memorial itself. She's very committed to the rights of all people and preserving community history. Please welcome Dr. Coswell.
Hold on, I gotta move this down. So thank you. I am here to speak on behalf of the Historic Users Group. And I want to thank Sean Mcintyre, Stacy Getz, the staff of North American Properties for bringing us together starting in 2017. We were to discuss how to commemorate the history of this space. We not only had many meetings with our group, which you saw some of them in the picture, but we also invited the community to share with us their stories, both in person and online, so that we could really capture a broader vision of how this historical plaza could take shape. As a community group, we challenged ourselves to engage with all the various stories of the past that inform our present. Other speakers have talked about this community's past being basically nearly 200 years old, but our history even begins before that. So we highlighted and discussed our earliest history. We acknowledged in our user group that this land is really the ancestral and traditional homelands of the Seminole tribe of Florida, the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida, the Appalachee, the Seminole, the Muskogee nations, the ancient Calusa, Ysita, and Tocobaga, and others. And today we also, in commemorating, we do pay respect to the resiliency of their tribal members, past and present. We brainstormed in our community meetings about the history of European Americans and Native Americans and their contact in spaces like these. And we also discussed the more immediate history of this space as a representation of the changes Leon County and Tallahassee experienced since the 19th century to the present, and really listened to those stories. And I do also remember watching Dr. Steele and Mr. Dew talk to each other in that jail, and that was very moving for me as a history professor. I often read about history. I don't always get to see it in living form like that. Fred Shuttlesworth, a Baptist minister and former leader of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, once said, quote, "If you don't tell it like it was, it can never be as it ought to be." And that quote has always stuck with me. And he was talking about slavery, but the same applies to our history here in Leon County. And so first and foremost, the Historic Users Group really wanted to ensure that the history of civil rights activism be commemorated, because it was in this space that the Leon County Jail sat. And while men and women put their lives on the line in the 1950s and 60s, they did so to challenge a system of laws that deemed African Americans second-class citizens because of the color of their skin, and law enforcement incarcerated them here. And so we wanted to take a moment to pause and really think about that. And second, the Historic Users Group really wanted to ensure that the range of the structures that once existed in this corner be preserved in memory, if not in physicality. The Four Corners commemoration over there speaks to the tremendous growth in population Tallahassee experienced between 1910 and 1940, during which the city and county built several civic structures for public services that they hoped would create efficiency and evoke modernity. There were the waterworks, the electric building that we cannot see, the Caroline Brevard School up there, which was red brick, by the way, when you're looking at that building, red brick, it has been colored white, but the Leon County Health Unit, which is right across from us, and then the Leon County Courthouse Annex, which was its twin, and then behind us, the Leon County Jail. And although not everything remains, it is a pleasure to see several buildings preserved and readapted for new purposes. So it's been my privilege to work with community members as part of the Historic Users Group since 2017 to find a way to tell the history of this space. And we are fortunate to have individuals on the committee who lived through many parts of the history of our social and civil rights history, and whose voices and experiences we heard and honored. The statement, quote, "Our story starts here," is often shared when we talk about Cascades. I believe that through the exhibits being unveiled and shared with the community today, that the stories of the past, present, and the future will be long told, shared, and created in this very space. So on behalf of the Cascades Historic Users Group, I want to thank you for the opportunity to help shape this historic plaza and share those memories with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Now I'd like to introduce City Commissioner and Mayor Pro Tem Curtis Richardson. Commissioner Richardson has a long history of public service in our area, from working in the Gadsden County school system and at the Florida Department of Education to serving with former Governor Lawton Chiles. He has also served on the Leon County School Board, in the Florida House of Representatives, and as a city commissioner since 2014. He is passionate about our city, about the Cascades project, and about this historical plaza. Please help me welcome Commissioner Curtis Richardson.
Thank you, Stacy, and good morning. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. As Stacy mentioned, I'm here this morning representing the City Commission as its longest serving member. They call me the Dean of the Commission now. I don't know how to take that one. But also, what I'm most excited about is the role that I played as a part of the original Blueprint 2000 committee over 20 years ago, led by Mark Mustian and others throughout the community who came together and decided that we were going to address the infrastructure needs of our community at the time, because our city was growing and we didn't have the infrastructure to support much of that growth. And as a part of that, we worked to convince the community to pass a penny sales tax, which we extended in 2014 for another 20 years to pay for those infrastructure improvements. And improvements here at Cascades Park, which you've heard had fallen in disrepair after many years of use as the hub of community and government activity, as well as much of the civil rights history of our community. It had fallen into disrepair because of the condition of the grounds at the time, the coal tar that had infiltrated the grounds and made it no longer useful to our community. And so we had a vision of what this area would look like and could be for our community. And that was a gathering place that families could come and children could enjoy the amenities. We could have a amphitheater where we could have concerts and other types of activities. And then also, as Sean mentioned, the economic development aspect of what has happened here at Cascades Park. And so I'm excited and proud to have been a part of what we have done here at Cascades Park. Today is truly a day of reflection and celebration. We're here to recognize the stories from this land, and there are many. The story I'd like to share with you today is about how our community worked together to create a vision for this entire park and development that has helped it to become a premier gathering spot in our community in downtown Tallahassee, an 18-hour downtown that we all have envisioned for so long. My story today doesn't go as far back as Native Americans or even our civil rights history. Still, it is an integral part of what brought us here today. It started with our Tallahassee citizens, again, choosing to implement a penny sales tax to create a better community. And yes, I've been a part of this community since well before the penny sales tax was ever discussed. I came here as a student at Florida State University in 1974 and decided to make Tallahassee my home and to be a part of making Tallahassee a better place for all of her citizens, that they would feel that they were a part of this all-America city, regardless of where they lived. My wife and I chose to live and build our home on the south side of this community and to raise our two beautiful daughters there because we wanted Tallahassee to be the all-America city for all of her citizens, regardless of where they lived. Some of you remember Cascades Park was not a place of beauty. In fact, it had fallen into disrepair, as I mentioned, due to coal tar contamination from the power plant, and was closed in 1989. In 2002, plans began to remediate the park and to recreate the area as a new part of our downtown where people would live, work, and play. And in fact, it was a significant part of our citizen-supported sales tax that brought the park back to life, creating an excellent stormwater management system, which many people don't know that this is a stormwater management system, but it is beautiful. But the city and the CRA had a bigger vision for this area. From the beginning, we wanted to see office buildings, residential living, a hotel, and a restaurant on land surrounding the park. This was not just a stormwater project for Cascades Park. It was an economic development project designed to create jobs and tax revenue for our city. We're not at the finish line yet, and we look forward to the new owners, Beckovic Management Group, and I hope I pronounced that right, y'all, building out the second phase of the project. Still, an economic analysis has estimated that mixed-use development bordering Cascades Park will generate up to 700 permanent jobs and an ongoing annual economic output of more than $64 million when everything is complete. And that's not even considering the hundreds of construction jobs this development has generated and will create in the coming years. Part of the story is also the dedication of North American Properties and its partner, Sean Mcintyre. And let's give Sean another round of applause. I had the opportunity to meet with Sean when they first came to town, and we talked about the vision of what could happen here and what this could be. And they have been committed to that, and he continues to show that commitment even to this day. Sean was committed to becoming a part of our community even beyond his commitment to this development. He has been engaged with the chamber and local nonprofits and ensured that every project he was involved with, from Cascades to Gain Street, was done in an exemplary manner. Sean is also the leader who initiated the citizen-led group to tell our story on this plaza. It is a true public-private partnership, and North American Properties never wavered from its commitment to ensuring this plaza was a vital part of this development. This day is for me a moment of great reflection and pride. For years to come, my wife and I will have the opportunity to bring our daughters and someday, y'all, our grandchildren to this site and share the importance of what took place on this land. We'll be able to talk about the civil rights leaders that we met. I had the opportunity to meet Reverend Steele, the dad of Derek and Reverend Henry Steele, when I came to Tallahassee doing a sociology class project, and had the opportunity to meet him and talk with him about the role that he played in the civil rights movement here in Tallahassee. We had the opportunity, we will be able to speak of how our city was founded, the early role in this area and its buildings played in creating a community gathering spot, and how we helped bring it back to life. My invitation to the community is to come see this new plaza. The next time you bring kids and grandkids to play in the splash pad or attend a concert in the amphitheater, plan to visit the plaza. And Carrie and I talked earlier this morning about what it will do to our visitors coming to town, and it being a destination point as well in that regard. Share this part of our history with others and reflect upon the contributions those who helped create the community we enjoy today. My heartfelt thanks to all of you who have helped make this possible. Thank you so much.
Okay, and now I would like to invite the members of the Cascades Historical User Group and their representatives to please come up and join our speakers, so if our speakers will come back up as well, to unveil the Tallahassee Civil Rights Memorial.